comes to the applications, how did you put together your portfolio?
That was rough. So for me as well, I kind of decided in a hurry, you could say. So I was working and I was dissatisfied with the work, like I mentioned earlier. So I just decided I'm going to apply. And so it was already late. So I can't remember when applications closed, but I think it was midway through July when I started. And now working for so long, it's like, I have to go and dig out my undergrad work. So it was a bit of a hurry to do it, and then to get to all the universities that all have different requirements. And I didn't have, I couldn't use automatic entry so I did my undergrad at UCT. So that automatic entry had expired. And so I had to follow the process for all of them. And each university has different processes, but Wits is, I think, quite easy.
Easy, like the application exercise? Or
in putting together the portfolio, because they're very clear. They want two portfolios, or at least when I applied, they wanted two portfolios, one for academic work, one for professional work. Unfortunately for me, for working so long, I had quite a lot of professional work. So the academic work, yes, I could put it together, but I think for me, I relied more on my professional work because I had done so much and it's been so varied. But I think something for myself. So obviously in university, you get very little instruction when it comes to portfolios. So it came from YouTube, basically. That's where I put a portfolio together.
So like show it better in the channel.
Yeah, you just watch every channel you can. If they say they're reviewing portfolios, you watch it. And then you see what's happening. Obviously it's international ones. And then you look at their work, you look at your work, and you look at their work, and you think, what am I even doing? So that's a danger. But you learn that there needs to be some kind of narrative. You need to, your portfolio is there to tell the university in this case, or prospective employers, who you are and what you do. And so you need to craft a narrative through it. And so what I wish I knew in my undergraduate studies was this idea of crafting my portfolio, because then I would have crafted my projects probably a bit more. And I think so many times people, yes, your work is there for you to learn and to grow and to practice things, but also consider what you're going to use it for, because we sell ourselves through our work. So consider how you draw, what you draw. If your drawings aren't great, practice, get better. If your models aren't great, get better at making models, get better at taking photos of your models. And then bring it all together in your portfolio to show who you are and what you want to do. If you're very good on the computer and you really want to do just build Revit models, well, focus on that.
So focus on what you're good at.
Yeah, if you really a thinker more than a doer, well, show process work, show how you think through the project, and don't rely on your final images because they're probably not good. So you got to focus on what you like and what you're good at. And if you're falling short somewhere, practice, get better. And that's pretty much what I've done. If I look at my skills now, being in honours, 5 years after I finished my bachelor's, the way I can draw now is so much better. My skills on the computer are 100-fold better. Even my modelling has gotten better. And it comes through practice and through watching and learning, because ultimately my learning is my responsibility.
So I did get that 65%, but I was still working towards having a portfolio that I was proud of. So I took my old project, all my hand-drawn stuff from first year, I put it as is because that's part of my journey. I was proud of it. But my third year and second year projects in Revit, I basically took the knowledge that I had learned in my year out, tips on Revit, rendering ideas, and slightly improved, spent a day or two on each of those projects and just put them together in a better graphic presentation. put them in order, gave a little description about the projects and how they evolved since learning in my year out. And yeah, that's how I sent it. And obviously in my year out, in that portfolio, there's the two portfolios, that one I just, like I said, I had a very wide range of tasks. So I made sure to include at least one aspect of every single thing I did. So I had a technical drawing, I had a screenshot of, you know, something like that I modeled on Revit. I had photos of things that, like carpet designs that I did pretty much every single detail, and also letters of recommendation. They didn't ask for it, but I always feel like
You're trying to be extra.
It's something that it's good to have, trying to be extra, put it in there if you have the opportunity to.
When I applied for architecture in undergrad, I applied everywhere that had architecture. And I thought I could do the same thing going into honors. And the reason as to why I'd applied everywhere in undergrad was thinking, what if I don't get in? Like, I need to have plan C, D, E, F. And that's how I felt with honors. And I actually had a conversation with my bosses and managers at the time where I was working. And when we sat down with them during lunchtime, and they told me, they're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you making yourself suffer? Why are you doing 5 different portfolios? Like, you're gonna burn out for absolutely nothing. If Wits or UJ doesn't take you, it's okay. Like, just come back and work another year. They made me so comfortable in not feeling so stressed out about what I was producing, but actually enjoying producing the 2 portfolios. So initially I thought, okay, I'm gonna hit UCT, UJ, UP, UFS, Wits. I was gonna hit them all. And then I was like, actually, no, I don't have to. And so they told me, one of my bosses actually told me, if you were to, I won't name the university, but if you were to apply to that university, would you actually want to go there? And I sat down and I'm like, actually, no, I wouldn't want to go there. What am I doing? So I kind of sat with myself and with my parents, and we decided, or rather I decided, to go with UJ and Wits. So I sent in portfolios for both UJ and Wits. Very different. So different. In a sense that, like, UJ is creative 101. Like, think outside the box. Like, first year archi, you know, where you weren't really designing buildings that could exist in the real world, but more so kind of stretch out your imagination. I would call it that. And then you've got Wits, obviously, you know, old school, that kind of history with it. So when I approached the professional portfolio, I think what I tried to show was my technical ability on one aspect and my design ability, especially because a lot of the projects that I did were very commercial, very cookie cut. So there wasn't really much space for me to kind of show design or creativity. So I think in a way that was a challenge, where I had to then now think, okay, what can I demonstrate about my design thinking other than just, you know, the technical aspects of drawing plans, sections and elevations, which we all do in practice. And then I know with my undergrad portfolio, I didn't rework anything.
Didn't really touch anything?
No.
So is it the same portfolio that you used to apply for work?
I wouldn't say the same portfolio. It's definitely not the same portfolio, but the work
is exactly the same.
The work is exactly the same. And there's a reason for that. I wanted to show a progress in how my mind has evolved in architecture. Not to say that, like, you should never rework, no. But I think there's something beautiful about seeing kind of where you started and where you are now. I think the priority though in the undergrad portfolio was that I had an emphasis on my 3rd-year projects. Especially because that's that year, you know, 3rd year is the big year, masters is the big year. I mean, honestly, yeah, it's a buffer zone. But like, I really did try to emphasize, I think majority of my undergrad projects that were in there were my 3rd-year projects. If I did have a 1st-year project, maybe 1, 2nd year, maybe 2, but I did try and prioritize the 3rd-year projects.
Then you already spoke about your intention to work with public schools and stuff like that. And you also spoke about that you didn't have the automatic entry. So when it comes to your statement of intent, believe that's what it's called, like that 500 words where
Yeah.
you need to motivate, as well as your interview. How did you do with those two?
To be honest, I can't even remember my statement of intent. She's like, I can't even remember what I wrote there. But my interview, I remember, that was quite clear. And the interview, it seemed scary. I remember stressing about it. I was in the office. So I took some time in the office, set up in the boardroom. Like, I dressed better for that interview, everything. And it was actually the most relaxed interview ever. But there again, I was more focused on the portfolio. But my portfolio matched quite well with what I was saying, and I shared that focus of people. I've come to put people at the core of what I do. Everything that I design is about people, because ultimately architecture, there is not a building that has been built since the dawn of day that is not about people. Even if it's something like a substation, it's for people. People need to work there. We need the electricity that flows through it. It's for people. So that whole stream kind of has grown together to focus myself more on schools. And I think initially coming back, schools wasn't my ultimate aim. I wanted to look more into pre-manufacturing and prefabrication, which is still a key theme for me. But it was kind of in recent times, some projects, a recent competition that I've done, as well as my work that I was doing in my time out, that kind of have come together now to direct me towards schools. So I think, again, you've got to establish what you want to do and then stick to it. Not to say that you can't change and shift, but in your year out, do as much as you can to find your path. And then you'll find that your portfolio and your statement of intent and your interview and all of that will just be this perfect stream. They'll all speak to each other, and yes, it will develop and change, and that's okay. That's what university is for. But it will all work together. But it's when you start doing these things separately and you think, oh, but what do they want to hear? Then you're probably gonna
do badly.
You do badly and go from the wrong way, and they'll pick it up. They will, like, this person is just trying to tell me all the stories I want to hear, but I don't know anything about them. They're kind of telling me about me. So just be you. I think that's the other thing, is don't, even in architecture, don't try and be the next, Norman Foster or the next Le Corbusier or the next anyone. Just be you and develop yourself, your path, your skills, and you'll start to kind of do everything around that, whether it's portfolios or declarations, whatever it may be. It will all flow together.
Then you did get over 65% for design and...
No. So no, no, did not. I had said earlier, before the cameras are on actually, that I did first year 2020 when COVID just hit. So I was online first year. Barely made it through. Second year, I think majority, maybe 70% of the year I was online, so 30% I was in person. And I had a way better experience. Second year was actually a very good year for me. And then third year was when we came back fully, and the absolute shock to the system, because we had no experience. Well, we did have somewhat of an experience of studio, but like proper studio experience, none. So I don't want to use the excuse of COVID. That can't be an excuse, but I definitely didn't get 65%, which is the automatic acceptance. I had to go via interviews, and I remember after my interview, the first interview I went, because I did apply to UJ, so UJ interviewed me first, and it was an online interview, and it went great. It was amazing. I was like, okay, like I'm comfortable, I'm cool, and it happened at the office. So after my interview in the boardroom, I went out and like, oh, how was it? I was like, oh, it was great. But I came in person, and after my interview, I'm like, I didn't get in. Like, I remember I called my mom because I had to go back to the office. So it was in the morning, went back to the office, called my mom on the way there, and I'm like, I don't think I went in here. It wasn't hard, but it also wasn't like very easy. So
really, what made it challenging?
The aspect of there were questions about my year out and my experience in my year out.
Yeah.
And why there wasn't a show of creativity or like my design strengths. And I think that's where I lagged, and it was something that did stress me out a bit with regards to that portfolio.
But do you think it has to do with the roles that she got as an intern?
No, I think it was the projects, really. The projects never really gave space for creativity, if I want to call it that. Like, especially if you're working like in a commercial space, there isn't really room for you to like explore because it's a money-making thing. They want their square meterage met. The amount of people that need to fit in the space needs to meet up with, they don't want to waste money. Wherever money can be saved, money will be saved. So there's just so many constraints working in the commercial industry where, you're not really given a lot of design freedom. So it was definitely not the roles that I was given, no. Because they did try and kind of put me in spaces where I could design, but a lot of the projects that I was working on, there wasn't a lot of design freedom. So I kind of like had to like defend my design thinking to be like, no, actually, I know what I'm doing.
You remember who gave you the interview? You don't need to drop the name.
I do know.
Yeah.
Love her down, but like damn. Like, it was intense. The interview was intense. She wasn't getting up.
When it comes to your statement of intent, I think that's what it's called.
Yes, something like that.
What did you motivate with?
So it was quite some time back, so I may not be remembering exactly, but I think it had wrote something about making change, and I know it's a very cliche thing, but a lot of the projects we worked on were actually at my old school. So
what school is this?
At King David.
King David.
Yes. So seeing how this projects we had done, or they had done and I had worked on, had impacted the quality of life of the students, and changed their experience in comparison to mine, was just such a big difference in seeing. For example, we did a sports facility that wasn't there before, and just seeing how much more drive these kids had for sport and what a difference it made to the school. I think that was just learning how much what you do impacts these people.
I don't even think I remember what I wrote, to be honest.
Was it not from the heart, or is it just
It was, but I think it goes back to the thing where I say that like each year your look at architecture changes. I mean, for me personally, if somebody were to ask me why architecture when I was in first year, I would have said I loved drawing. When I was in grade 2, I used to draw wedding dresses. I thought it was a thing. I did EGD. Yeah, it's my thing. And if somebody were to ask me that in third year or in my year out, I would rephrase that question and be like, I think the question would then be asked, why did you stay in architecture? Because I easily could have left after the first or second year. And I think then I would have definitely said something along the lines of like, like the philosophical side of architecture. Yes, trying to see, broaden the mind, see where things can go. Trying to kind of like question the normality of something along those lines. But I think honestly, my purpose of statement was honest for the time. Have I gone back to read that purpose? Probably not. And I recently just changed. I think my purpose of statement was very aligned to what my about is on LinkedIn. And I changed my about literally 2 days ago.
Yeah.
To make it reflect more of where I am now. And I think if you're just honest in your purpose of statement, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, like I didn't lie, not at all. But because you change so much, your purpose of statement is honest for where you were at the time, because you changed so much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What made you decide to come back and finish your architectural journey?
So besides for my parents pretty much saying you have to, I think it was doing the small things I did during the year out. I really enjoyed it, but watching my colleagues that had that experience doing so much more and being able to do so much more, I knew that's what I wanted to be doing. And it was just that motivation of I know that the time is right now and that I'm very lucky to be able to be studying now, and that I should take this opportunity and just go for it if I can.
Yeah, I know this is something which I probably shouldn't know, but you worked for 2 years, right?
I did not. I worked for 1 year.
Oh, for 1
Yes.
year. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was supposed to work for 2 years and then I didn't do that. Yeah.
is it like the sort of fear of like not wanting to go back studying?
So yeah, I was originally signed a 2-year contract, and it was that I really wanted to work for 2 years, and once I was a few months into it, I became worried about getting too comfortable working that I had to call it and say 1 year.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for my time there, and it was nothing against the company. It was a personal thing that of not wanting to be stuck and wanting
Would you
to
say
progress.
that honors is like harder than working?
It's hard to discipline on yourself. I think work-wise, it's pretty consistent with third year, but because of that aspect of adding in research, which is a big factor, it's almost like a mini master's. It's just a lot more discipline that it takes, but it's still manageable and it still can get done in the same amount of time. You know.
The goal was always PR arc. I've got friends who jumped ship, are into furniture design or set design, animation, BIM. I could have stopped and become a BIM modeler. But the goal was always PR arc. The goal is PR arc. That's where I see, not where I stop, but I think the beginning of my career in construction definitely starts, or let me say, not the beginning. I don't know where, but I think a second beginning of my career in construction is definitely when I get PR arc. So that's the goal. That's why I came back. I need to get that PR arc.
You've always wanted to be an architect.
Yeah. So that's the goal. I think it's also a thing of like knowing just how few Black female professional architects there are compared to the amount of people who graduate, with like the undergrad, honors, and master's degrees. Listen, if I can bump up the percentage a little bit, let me just bump up the percentage a little bit,
Yeah.
So there's more people who look like myself in that small percentage.
And the last question is, you already did speak about how you're very passionate about architecture, but ever at some point did you like doubt if architecture was for you?
So architecture wasn't my initial. I always knew I wanted to do something creative, to draw. I've been drawing since before I could walk, probably. But when I kind of discovered architecture, it's just been this thing that's grown, and I've loved it and been so passionate about it. And like I said, I didn't always work in architecture. So even after my degree, I moved to a different design field. I actually worked designing yachts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, it's a similar thing. It's still spatial design, just in a fairly odd-shaped structure. But believe it or not, the only time I really questioned whether or not I should be here was the first few months of my honors. It was just so hard, and I struggled moving to a new city as well. There were just so many struggles, and I'm like, should I even be here?
To Joburg and stuff.
Yeah, being a Cape Townian coming to Joburg, it's like, it's a terrifying move. And I struggled, and I wasn't doing well. I remember my first solo review, I was a hair's width away from failing. Yeah, so things were not going well, and I just, what am I doing? Maybe I'm been wrong this whole time. Maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I shouldn't be here. But actually, it came down to a drawing project for history of all things. That just awakened me and just said, you know what, this is where I should be, push on. And things just took off from there. And so I think everyone will face that at some point where they question, like, should I be here? And it's a valuable question. I think everyone should ask themselves that. Because no, not everyone should be an architect. Just because you can draw or you're creative doesn't mean you should be here. But if you are kind of sure that you should be here, or you're determined, push through. Because you will find those things again that make you happy. and that you enjoy and that you're good at, and you will find a space in architecture. So that's the other thing, is architecture is actually so broad, and everyone, although I say not everyone should be here, I think of all those who feel that they should be here, they will find their space. Because there's different projects. There are architects who don't even practice architecture, but they still are kind of in architecture.
Yeah.
There is a space for everyone. You never know, but you've also got to expose yourself to it, and you won't like every piece of architecture or everything you do. You know, I hated parts of my job before I moved up here, but it doesn't mean that I hated architecture. I think that's the big thing, is even when I thought maybe I shouldn't be here, I still loved architecture. I was just not convinced for a while that I should be trying to practice it.
What advice would you give to someone who's thinking about coming back? And also advice to someone, let's say, who's an undergrad, not sure about architecture. You can even speak about the doubts which you had, about whether architecture is for you.
Yeah, so I'd say definitely, there's been many moments where I've had doubts. And I think, well, something I always do is tell myself, can you imagine yourself doing something else? And the answer is no, because I know, beneath all those struggles and those late nights and the confusing things that get brought up, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. Can't see myself sitting in an office all day or doing manual labor all day. So it's just reminding yourself why you chose it and reminding yourself of those reasons. And for the people who are not knowing whether to come back or not, to them I'd say then work those extra years. There is no rush to come back. In my personal journey, I knew I needed to, but there isn't a rush. So just take the time you need and don't make any decision just because you have to. So just take the time, speak to people. I'm here, hello. Speak to people, do your research, and take your time.
Yeah.
I think in South Africa's context, when you decide on a career to go through with, you think of like financial stability. That's the first thing, like how much am I gonna earn when I leave? And with social media, a lot of the stuff is like more accessible, how much people actually earn. And people are just like, for studying, you studied 6 years, but you don't, they're compared to a different degree and like, they earn way more than you did, but you. And I think if you're trying to get into archi for the money, you're probably not in the right space. And I'm not saying that there isn't money in architecture. No, I don't like making other people's realities my own. Because again, in South Africa's context, there are people who study degrees that so quote unquote earn way more than we do. But they're either struggling to get a job or their pay isn't well enough, So kind of painting this reality to say architects don't earn a lot. And it isn't worthwhile, I think, is the very incorrect way to go about choosing to study architecture, or having this premonition that, yes, get rich scheme architecture.
Yeah.
Wrong way to go about that as well, because people's realities differ so much. So I would definitely say, because getting into architecture is rigorous enough.
Yeah,
so if you're able to get through those applications, shout out to you, you did that. But I think the doubts don't stop. In a sense where not that I doubt, but I don't think that I'll be practicing as an architect for the rest of my life. In a sense that, like, especially this generation of architects, a lot of us are like creators in so many different ways. Like, we have a DJ in my class right now. He DJs, he does architecture, he does graphic design. He wears so many hats, myself included. I started set design recently, not just archi. I used to dance professionally. I used to do hip hop.
So like break dancing and stuff like that?
Not break dancing, but like, not break dancing, but like 1-2 step, type. So I think the doubts don't stop. I think it's just necessarily knowing where you'd want to see yourself, especially not boxing yourself. I don't think architects are meant to be boxed as architects. Yes, design a house. No, you're so much more than that. And that's because our degree covers so much more than just, design a house. They're just different. I think if you're just able to not figure out, but allow yourself to learn with time and years, and trust the process.
Yeah.
Like, even if you fail or repeat or start a new degree, I'm 23 now, I'm doing my master's, but if it means that I must go and study something else, so be it. Like, life hasn't ended. I know people are thinking, what the hell? You spent 3 years undergrad, a year at honors, you're about to finish your master's, are you okay? But I'm studying with people who are doing their second master's now. What stopped them from taking a second chance,
Yeah, so this isn't like your end goal, basically. You can always do something.
Definitely not. Right now, this is my end goal. I'm not studying anymore, I'm done. I'm done studying. But I don't think this is my end goal, definitely not. Like, there was something that was actually said to me on Saturday, and they said that, have fear falling forward. Like, be afraid, but be afraid moving forward. Like, do it afraid.
Yeah.
Do it scared, do it in doubt. Nothing is perfect. No one's life is perfect. It may seem like that from the outside, please no. Everyone has doubts.
Yeah.
But I think if you allow yourself to not necessarily overcome those doubts, but don't let those doubts make you sit still and stand still. Allow those doubts to move you forward. You'll be fine. Architecture is meant to make you go up and down, sometimes crazy a bit, but that's a part of life, I think. Not just architecture. Doubt is in everything. In the way that you speak to people, in the way that you have friends, in the way that you communicate, in the way that you dress today. Am I dressed okay? Like, doubt is in everything, but you kind of like move on with life, Time ticks on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.